Welcome to Picks with the Professor, the show where a real statistics professor gives you sports betting tips. This is college basketball for Thursday, March 7th. Cousin Jared, we are getting into the fun part of the season here for college basketball, aren't we?
Yeah, it is. And the return of day basketball. You get so
Yes.
spoiled to, those weeks when the season's first starting and you've got all the invitationals and you can literally turn on the TV at any point in time and have plenty of college basketball viewing options. Having like 4 months off from that, it's very nice to have that back.
And you end up then with the random day game during finals week and the random game where they invite the local elementary school on one of their last days in November or whatever. Right? So you just get all those random day games early on in the season. And then we haven't had that many as of late. So we're getting a few day games on Thursday. We'll get a bunch more on Friday. And then we'll start getting even more of them next week as well. So a lot of fun here for college basketball. Cousin Jared, I mentioned this in the comments and just want to reiterate to people, we may not have a show every day. If we don't, it's because we can't really find enough great picks to give out to people. We're not going to press things. We're not going to recommend things we don't truly like. We do have plays the day over on Dub Club each and every day. And those have had an over 10% ROI on the season. This week, I believe entering Wednesday, we're 4-1 in the 2 days. I believe they were 1-1 on Wednesday. So they were 5-2 for the week, which is just kind of the way it's been all season for the plays of the day. So there's still time to get in on those. I'm a terrible salesperson. I'm a terrible marketer. I know people always say that drive marketing, you want FOMO, you want people to fear what they're missing out. I'm like, I don't know if I can get anybody to fear anything missing. You've been seeing it all year long. If you ain't fearing what you're missing out, you're not fearing anything in life because it's been there all season long. I don't know what else to say.
Across multiple sports at this point.
Yeah. It just, I don't know. It just is what it is. So I get Pub Club link in the show description. It's not too late. It's never too late, people. We continue to rock and roll. We're not going anywhere. So we continue to appreciate those of you who support us over there and keep this business going, the show going, these models going, the updates going, the new research going, all of that other stuff. So get that sign up link in the show description. Otherwise, though, we will start off with daytime basketball. And folks, we do have one of the either one of the plays today or an A grade pick. I can't remember which one in one of the earlier games as well. There's even a game before this at noon or something. And we've got a pick on that one as well. So we've got you covered from start to finish in college basketball if you're with us over on Dub Club. Otherwise, at 3 p.m. In the afternoon, why would you watch this game? Because what else are you going to do at this time of day other than work? Who does that, right? Nobody wants to do that. So, 3 p.m. Eastern, Coastal Carolina and Louisiana, a little Sun Belt, Fun Belt Conference tournament action, neutral site game. That's why, as you can see on the crawler there, it says Coastal Carolina versus Louisiana. It's not a road game here. This is a neutral site game at wherever the heck they're playing all these tournaments. They tend to all just put them in beach locations. If I remember correctly, last year this one's in Florida. I think it's still in Florida this year. Sideline says Louisiana should win. They should be favored. Net 12.5 says they should be favored by 6.5. So we've got a pretty good little value play here on Coastal Carolina getting 12.5 points. Because, Jared, I think the number of points you're getting here is very important because we do tend to see in these conference tournaments. And you need to know when you're betting these, are you betting a conference tournament game or regular season game? Because that matters.
Yes.
You do tend to see fouls when there should be no more fouls. Mm-hmm. And so we often talk about the regular season, you get down late at 7, 8, 9, 10, you're not fouling. You might be fouling down 10 here because it's the conference tournament. That's why we get 12.5. That offers us some pretty good value here. The model says 6.5, but this is one where I know the model says 6.5. I'm not taking 9 because by only taking 9, like that late foul thing, I just don't know how it's going to play. About 12.5, sure, they might foul down 12, but I mean, you just got so many ways you can win this. If Coastal can hang in there, they've already been I feel like good to us for the most part this season. We backed them on the money line here as an A grade play in the first tournament game, I guess, whatever that was, Tuesday. What are days at this point? And let's see if they can keep it rocking and rolling here. Because, Jared, what's your thoughts on this game?
You mentioned that we backed Coastal on Tuesday, and a little bit unique conference tournament setup here where games not taking place on consecutive days, having a day off in between each one. I assume that has something to do with this line that Coastal played a game going to be 48 hours prior to this game. And, maybe somebody had, books were thinking, okay, well, Louisiana is a little more refreshed than Coastal is. I would urge you to go look at Louisiana this year. While they are better than Coastal, they are nothing to write home about. They're a mid seed in, like you said, the Sun Belt tournament here. 18-13, 10-8 in conference. Not a great team. I would be more willing to bet that Coastal is going to get a bump from playing 2 days ago.
I was just going to say, a lot of times in tournaments, you see that, right? We're back in that time of year. We talk about this, the whole, now by the time you get to your fourth game in 5, other than a couple of incredible runs we've seen in years past, the historic runs, that happen that we all talk about because they're so crazy. Usually by the end, it wears at you. But the first game, usually, Louisiana hasn't played. Coastal has. That might help Coastal out here a little bit. Got their legs underneath them, already played in this gym. I mean, a lot of things to like there, just like you're saying there.
Yeah, and so I think that is of benefit. These two teams played in the regular season. Louisiana, it was at Louisiana. Louisiana only won by 8 or 9 points. So Coastal, to your point, that you wouldn't take 9 points here. They won that game by 8 or 9 points. So I definitely
think in this one there might be one extra foul. That would be the problem.
Correct. And I hear what you're saying about the fouls. But at the same time, those fouls are optimizing the outcome for Coastal. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
They are the teams are always going to be acting in their own best interest until the final whistle blows, since this is win or go home. And so I also like that part of it too. Yes, it's probably just as likely that we get screwed over with late fouls, but maybe they foul, get a missed free throw, hit a 3-pointer that they wouldn't have otherwise gotten, and maybe they somehow miraculously.
Which I think maybe kind of is maybe more what you're trying to say is that yes, we might have a bad late foul, but they also might shoot a random 3 at the end.
Yes.
More so than they would have in the regular season, dribbling out the clock.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. A lot of points here, like you said, Louisiana is the better team. And if you're with us on YouTube, you can see that on screen. There's no denying it's a better team. But this is priced as if they're the home team, maybe even more than that. Like you said, they didn't even win by this, but they were here by 10.5 at home in the regular season. I don't quite get this. Again, we've got a player-based model. Don't have any reason to think that we're missing anything crazy in this one. A lot of points here, 12.5 for the afternoon. Makes a lot of sense. And honestly, upsets are starting to happen here in these conference tournaments. I'm not saying I'm calling the upset, but hey, maybe like a 1/10 of a unit on the Coastal money line might make for a fun afternoon, just in case they hang around. Something to think about. Just a tiny bit, just for some funsies here. But as always, make sure you're shopping around for the best price, whether that's money line or on the spread. Every little bit matters. It's turning losses into wins, pushes into wins. And so there's no reason not to have multiple books at your disposal here. You can sign up for an account if you are a new user at BetUS. Your first 3 deposits will get a 125% bonus. It does come with rollovers. We've been talking about that a lot throughout this course. You and I, because Jared, no stranger to rollovers. You get your money in there as we're not trying to hit the lottery and run away with money. We're trying to get in there and play and slowly and surely grow our bankroll. So the rollovers for the style of betting we're talking about, really no problem with that.
Correct.
And so again, you will have to play that money a little bit. Hey, there's no such thing as a free lunch. So they're giving you a bunch of free money to play with. You got to play over it a little bit, but hey, that's what we're here for, to have fun and play with the money. So again, a lot of bonus opportunities there at BetUS. If you're a new customer, first 3 deposits, 125% bonus. Hard to beat that.
BetUS, America's favorite sportsbook and casino. Live betting and racebook. We're celebrating 30 years with a historic offer. A 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits. Plus 10% gambler's insurance. Get started today. BetUS, where the game begins.
But wait, there's more afternoon fun. Pacific and Pepperdine. Because this is going to be terrible basketball.
Yes. It is.
I really don't know what to say about other than this is going to be terrible basketball. Pacific is awful. One of the worst teams this season relative to expectations. Nobody thought they'd be good, but nobody really was thinking they'd be quite as bad as they were.
Yeah.
Really, to start the season, it took a lot of models a lot of time to really catch up, even the books, everybody to catch up just to how bad this team was. Pepperdine's not great, but they have a little bit of an offense. Sideline says they win by 15.5 on average. We're going to lay to 10. And Cousin Jared, kind of the same thing I said with the fouls kind of helps us here, that you might get some dumb late fouling, which could help us out with Pepperdine winning by more than they should, or they just run away with it. A couple different ways we can win this one. Going to lay the 10 with Pepperdine. Cousin Jared, tell us more.
To your point about how long it took for everybody to catch up to how bad Pacific is, have we caught up to how bad Pacific
Maybe
is?
Not.
They are really, really bad. And this is just one of those things like I as evidenced by what we discussed in the last game, I think that if you find yourself taking a lot of dogs in these conference tournaments, you're probably going to end up doing fairly well. I think there will be spots. You want to pick and choose your spots where you're laying points, especially when you're laying double digits like this. Pacific is that team that you can feel, number one, comfortable laying double digits against. And the other thing here, since Pacific is playing in this game, I assume this is the first game, first round of this.
It's the only one on Thursday. It's the 8-9. There are 9 teams in the conference, so
okay. Well,
I don't know. I don't mind everybody making it and doing weird tiers. It's just every tournament's different and gets weird. So this one's one where there's the 8-9, and of course the winner gets to get presumably smoked by St. Mary's because
yes, they will. And man, if Pacific somehow manages to win this game, the number of points that they are going to score against St. Mary's is going to be very low.
Oh no, this is one of the weird double buys. Excuse me. So this one they get to go play San Diego, but then if they win that one,
okay, yeah.
Then they get to go play I don't know, Santa Clara, and then if they win that one, then they get to get smoked by St. Mary's.
Okay.
This is one of, again, every tournament's weird. It's hard. I started thinking about this, and this is one of those weird ones because I remember a few years ago BYU had this, and they were real deep in there. So yeah, they're all a little bit different.
Yeah, and so the first game we talked about, hey, maybe Coastal Carolina can have some of that momentum come over from winning a game 48 hours ago, getting hot in the tournament. Don't have to worry about that here. Pacific did not come off of a win. It's not like they were a terrible team, but are starting to get some momentum. They didn't play
a terrible team.
Yeah, they're just a terrible team. And so, like I said, in these conference tournaments, you want to pick and choose your spots where you're laying double digits. But I think Pacific is the team to do that against.
I could not agree more. And because Jared, I would be remiss if I did not point out that these two teams have already played twice this year. The first matchup at Pepperdine. Pepperdine won the game by 25 points. In the rematch at Pacific, they won by 19. Given what we know home court's worth, that is a pretty strong indication that Pepperdine is about 23 points better. Maybe not quite that much. Again, model only saying by 50.5. But the fact that this number is so low makes very little sense. And you might say to yourself, it's hard to beat a team 3 times. And in this case, it's hard to beat a team by double digits 3 times. And I would say, well, is it? Because we have to go back no further than last year when these two teams played 3 times and Pacific was actually, had a pulse. First matchup, Pacific won on the road by 5. Second matchup, Pacific won at home by 8. They met again in the conference tournament. Pacific won by 13. So even last year when these two teams played, the team that won the first 2 handled them in the third. So, I mean, I'm not going to buy into this whole, well, they know what to do, blah, 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 blah. I think you laid it out. Pacific is terrible. We might not have caught up to how bad they are. They're one of the few teams that has been so dreadful against the spread. 6-23 against the spread. And it's not like that's just come around recently. They've lost 6 of their last 7 against the spread as well, including starting off with a historic ATS losing streak after covering their second game barely as 11-point dogs. They ended up losing, I believe, 10 straight games against the spread. That's very tough to do because the spread, as we all know, is the great equalizer. They are terrible. We may not have caught up to how bad they are. Model sure trying to figure it out. But either way, the fact that this is 10 and those late fouls could absolutely help us out here. But either way, when you look at the way the first 2 matchups have gone, haven't even needed anything like that. So landed with Pepperdine there. And again, as always, though, more picks, all the daytime action, all the plays of the day. available on Dub. We just sneak peek of what you get, and a bonus game for you again, because I want to make sure on the chart, everyone sees like it's a full chart. It's not just like one game at a time. Bonus game, Texas State and Southern Miss. So every once in a while, that game's gonna play out. There you go. There's some predictions for you there in that one. If you want to soak in that information, pause it, take it all in there. As you can see, models Pacific has a 10% chance to win. That seems high personally, but strange things happen in college. Yeah. So the thing, and I don't want to get too far off in this discussion, Jared, but I do have to point out, as a statistician, we speak in terms of probability, but people get mad when probabilities happen. We say there's a 10% chance of something, and that should happen 1 out of 10 times. And then when it does happen 1 out of 10 times, people are mad when it happens. I'm like, I try to tell you it would happen eventually, right? I don't think Pacific wins this game, but that is something to keep in mind with all of your sports betting. We really encourage smart betting here, and to remember there are no locks in gambling. Anything can happen, and that we have these probabilities, and that sometimes weird things happen. And so I always recommend gambling with your means, not putting too much of your bankroll in game, blah, blah, blah. All the same things you've heard from me over and over and over again. If you've been
I feel like you just described meteorologists.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. QR code down on the screen. You can get $5 off your first month at Dub Club again, or with the link in the show description, we'll get you that same discount. Ton of goodies over there on Dub Club. That'll wrap us up with the late night Apple Basketball Cup. Because, Jared, maybe the last one of these. I don't know what's going to happen in the ever-changing world of college sports. I don't know if these two teams will meet up in the Pac-12, soon to be RIP tournament. But the Oregon State games were a lot of fun. Both of them this year. Both of them much closer than we expected, given how bad Oregon State is at basketball. This one should be an interesting game. Washington is good. Washington State, as we've long talked about, much better than anybody expected. At Washington State, they are favored, and they should be. This is a battle of paces here. Washington State wants to play slow. Washington wants to play fast, but we kind of thought Washington State would slow it down against UCLA previously, about a week ago. We were dead wrong on that one. Yeah. And so, hey, let's see if the overs continue for us. So we're going to go over 148.5, be great value. Sideline thinks 153.5 on average. So many ways this game goes in the 130s or 140s, but just as many, if not more ways, it goes in the 150s or even 160s. And we get winners on all those games in the 150s, and we get one winner in the 140s for fun as well. Over is the pick in here. It's a battle of paces, but it's easier to speed a team up than slow a team down. And the weakest link on the court is Washington's defense. And so we expect some extra points because of that. What's your take on this one, Cousin Jared?
Yeah. So, yes, we were wrong last week with UCLA and Washington State. Yeah. Two things. Number one, on the road, Washington has not gone under this number. All of their games have almost all their games have gotten into the 150s, except a game against Oregon State, which, Oregon State is just challenged. A game against UCLA and this was like when UCLA was mid-swoon at the beginning of conference play. And then you got to go all the way back to the first conference game of the season when they were playing at Colorado, when that game only got into the low 140s. All the rest of the time, I mean, Washington in general has been an over team, but especially on the road, they have played some high-scoring games. Washington State, while we were wrong last week, their offense has been much better at home than it has been on the road. And so I think that helps us here. You see the offensive rating for both of these teams. Obviously, this is going to be an emotionally charged game, I would say. I think that –
especially in Pullman.
Yes, I think that that's going to manifest itself as better offensive play. Maybe the players kind of picking up the pace a little bit.
Maybe more fouls, maybe more aggression. More fouls is good too. Get to the line, stop the clock. Mostly free points.
I think that additional energy is going to translate to more points, mostly because we have two pretty good offenses here. To your point, the fouls help as well. So I think this is going to be a great game. To your point, this is just going to be super exciting. Last game in Pullman, potentially for these two teams for a while. This is one you're going to want to tune into. I hope this isn't on Pac-12 Network.
Yeah, I mean, the way the world goes, that's the only good thing about the Pac-12 ending is we get to move on from that. I guess the downside is
actually no. The Pac-12 Network is going to continue. That was mentioned this week.
And just show like old reruns of stuff.
They acknowledge that programming is going to be a challenge.
It already was a challenge. I don't even know what that's supposed to mean now.
Yes, it is going to be more of a challenge now. But I think the idea is that whenever the Pac-12 becomes reconstituted, because let's be honest, that's what everybody wants to happen. They want to join with the Mountain West.
And the branding of the name.
Yes. Yeah. And so I think the idea is they just want to keep it going until it becomes whatever the whatever conference will be in the future, and then won't have to resurrect it at that point.
I will say the Mountain West having divisions called the Mountain and the West at least worked better than the ACC having divisions of the Atlantic and the Coastal, because I don't really know what that means for the Atlantic and the Coastal, because they're kind of the same at that point. Mountain and West actually made sense because it was like basically who's at elevation and who's on the coast.
Yeah,
it made a ton of sense there for that one. Because Jared, before we wrap up here, I'm just curious if you have any thoughts on how to solve college athletics. For me, my personal thought, I don't know if this will happen, but what I hope will happen is college football just go off into its own little world and do its own thing. And I don't even care what they do, because college football is its own behemoth at this point. Mm-hmm. And then let's get all the other college sports back to regional things, including basketball, because they're all Division I anyway, and get much more regionalized rivalry matchups and like kind of do away with all these crazy conferences that have happened, because it doesn't make sense for the kids in like wrestling and tennis and baseball and softball and soccer or whatever to be in these crazy conferences, in basketball either, and whatnot. But then football can kind of do whatever football's doing. It's already split anyway, right? If you need to make a third tier for football, who cares, right? But just, I kind of wish we could get football out of this, and then we could kind of go back to everything. I don't know if you have any thoughts on how to save college athletics at this point.
No, I don't. I have no issue with what you just proposed, but how do we undo what's been done? And it
would take an overlord, because there's no way to just make what I said happen.
I'm just like the American Conference, whatever the American Conference has become, how would that be undone? You know, I don't know, but yes,
it's obviously. It's complicated, unfortunately. So we have to enjoy some of these rivalries while we have them. Maybe some of them will come back, right? The Texas A&M one, it's coming back. So, the more things change, the more things stay the same, I guess. Otherwise, again, more picks, plays of the day, all sorts of goodies over on Dub Club. Sign up, link in the show description. Check that out if you haven't yet. Check Bet US out if you haven't yet as well. Otherwise, we will see y'all later.